I'm Thorsten Wagner, and what I'm going to present is an ImageJ plugin called J. It is used for size characterization of nanoparticles using a technique called nanoparticle tracking analysis. I will give you a broad outline of the nanoparticle tracking analysis, in short NTA. And after that introduction, I'm going to talk about NTA using J. And then I show you a comparison of results with using J with different devices. And I will finish my presentation with a feature of J exploiting color informations provided by metal nanoparticles when they're excited by white light. Now let's take a look at the nanoparticle tracking analysis method. The basic principle is particles are suspended particles are in liquid suspension and at a reasonable dilution, and a light source, often laser, illuminates a flow cell and is scattered by the particles. The scattered light is then captured by a CCD camera and the footage is analyzed by a conventional PC. I will show you such a video. Yeah, these are polystyrene particles, 100 nanometers, diffusing in water. Okay, back to the slides. The first step in the analyzing pipeline is to identify each particle in each video frame. The next step is to reconnect the particles in each frame, and this results in a number of tracks with a different number of steps, because most of the particles will diffuse in and out of the field of view, so they can't be tracked over the whole registration time. The next step is the estimation of the diffusion coefficient. The diffusion coefficient is, roughly speaking, the speed of the particle, and after that the diffusion coefficient is converted to hydrodynamic diameter. And the diameter data is then presented as a size distribution, as a histogram. I want to highlight that many central elements of the NTA technique relies heavily on the used computer program. For our experiments, we want to have all these things under our control, and therefore we developed our own analysis software, which I'm presenting here at the moment. To show that J provides comparability and extensibility, we carried out experiments with 100 nanometer latex particles and a mixture of 60 nanometer and 80 nanometer gold nanoparticles. Both nanoparticles are perfect spheres and do not tend to agglomerate. We use three devices. The first one is a normal dark field microscope. The second one is a commercial laser microscope, especially for nanoparticle tracking analysis from nanosite. And the third one is an experimental laser microscope consisting of a perpendicular scattering and observation arrangement. And yeah, that is shown in the right figure. As software, of course, we use J, and as a comparison and verification software, the commercial nanosite NTA software, which is shipped with the nanosite device. This brings me to J. The left figure shows the GUI of J with all parameters needed to run the analysis. There are some sample-dependent parameters like the temperature and the viscosity. Other parameters are setup-specific, like the pixel size and the frame rate of the camera. And then there are parameters which are algorithm-specific. The minimum expected particle size is needed to estimate the search radius for the tracking, and the minimum number of steps per track is needed to remove tracks which are too short to give good estimates. The right window shows a typical result window. It's the size distribution of the 100 nanometer latex particles. Okay, these are the visible parts. Now some technical details. J basically consists of two steps. The identification of the particle by the find maximum method of ImageJ, and the connection or tracking of the identified particles. I think everyone knows the find maximum method, so I don't go into the details here. After the particles in each frame were identified, nanotrack tries to reconnect the identified particles. It does the reconnection using a simple method, what we call non-ambitious neighbor tracking. It's very easy and connect two spots in successive frames only when two conditions are fulfilled. The first one is the distance between two spots have to be smaller than a radius r, and there is no other spot which with a distance smaller than the radius r. As I told you, this is a very, very basic tracking algorithm, and this is the reason why we moved to Trackmate. But I will come back to that at the end of the presentation. The next step after the tracking is the estimation of the diffusion coefficient, and therefore nanotrack provides two methods. I don't want to go into the math of these methods, but both methods use the step lengths to estimate the diffusion coefficient. Having the estimated diffusion coefficients, they are converted to diameters using the Stokes-Einstein equations. Yeah, the next step is the data presentation, and nanotrack provides two methods. The first is a simple track length weighted histogram, and an alternative method is a maximum likelihood histogram. This maximum likelihood procedure estimates the particle size distribution in an iterative way, and this leads to very clean size distribution as in the lower figure on the right side. This is our preferred way to estimate the size distribution, but just because it looks nicer. We applied our nanotrack to 3 different devices. We captured videos of samples of 100 nanometer latex particles with the 3 devices. First note that the different images show very different image qualities, but each size distribution estimated by nanotrack is centered around 100 nanometers and also have roughly the same standard deviation. I think this demonstrates that nanotrack could handle different setup characteristics. An important setup characteristic of the dark field device is that it uses white light to illuminate the sample, and this results into colorful image data for the mixed gold nanoparticle sample due to the so-called surface plasmon resonance. The difference in color could reflect a difference in size, and because the size distribution in the middle figure shows a small shoulder, this middle figure suggests that there are two nanoparticle populations, and therefore we use the inbuilt color space shoulder to analyze the green to yellow nanoparticles. And this identifies the 2 different nanoparticle populations whose model values exactly centered to 60 and 80 nanometers. Okay, I'm almost finished, but this is an important point because nanotrack will move to Trackmate. The reason is that nanotrack provides only simple tracking, and Trackmate provides some more sophisticated tracking possibilities, and also the extensibility to include all nanotrack features. Most of the features are already moved, the find maxima detector, the color information for filtering, and the size distribution information. But currently you can use it by using the releases of my Trackmate fork, but I hope that I can provide it as an extra module as soon as possible. Okay, I think okay, I will finish the presentation with a short summary. You have seen that nanotrack is a convenient tool for nanoparticle tracking analysis, and it works with different devices. For special particles, it can use color information to identify subpopulation of particles, and you could use it as plugin for image day or as a Trackmate module. Okay, thanks for your attention and any questions?